Welcome to a new episode of Wedding Wednesdays. Every Wednesday, the team from Weddings a la Mode and Mode Events joins us with a special guest to chat about all things wedding related. Now pour yourself a drink and let's get to planning. Hello and happy Wedding Wednesday. It is my favorite day of the week. Every Wednesday, we hop onto Twitch. Thank you so much for joining us. And we have a special guest in the wedding industry every week. Today, we have someone who I've known for a few years, and we can talk more about that. But today, we have Sohphia Lin Kanno of Kehoe Designs. She is one of the most fabulous designers I've ever met in my life. And without further ado, let's welcome her onto the show. Yay! Round of applause.
Hi.
Hey!
Thank you for that fabulous welcome.
I need like a parade. Like, I don't even know how to introduce you. So thank you for being on the show. How are you doing?
Great. It's a sunny day in Chicago, so I can't complain about that compared to all the doom and gloom that we had last week. So, better than that for sure.
I have a surprise for you. My earrings. We're matching.
Oh yes,
Kind of.
definitely.
So this is actually a plug. Sophia made these.
Yes, during been, we've had a little bit of extra time, and my mom owns a drapery business that she's been starting to sort of slowly close down a little bit, and have reclaimed drapery tassels actually and made them into lovely earrings. So
very cool. I obviously knew I was interviewing you, so I was like, I need to wear these. I wear them all the time. They just are good accessory. So if someone wants to buy these, how do they even hit you up? Like email?
Yes, email me. I have been trying to get them on Etsy for like a month now, but work takes precedence, and we always have to be adjusting to work schedules. So, but yeah, send me a note if you're interested for sure.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that was a total side plug because I just love them so much, and I'm very proud to have a pair of your earrings. So again, thank you for coming on the show. We have an hour, which is great. We can talk all things related to floral and decor. I'd first love to start to know you guys. I mean, I know you personally from the wedding industry for a while, but for our viewers who have not met you before and are not familiar with your company, Kehoe, I just want them to learn more about that. So if you want to start with how you even got involved with the wedding industry, I'm curious to hear that story.
Yeah, absolutely. So, my journey in events in general actually really started in college. I started off going to Georgia Tech in Atlanta, and originally just because it was the best free education that I could get at the time. So I had gotten a full ride scholarship to Georgia Tech, and I really wanted to go to New York City, but it just didn't turn out to be the right price for what I needed it to be. After looking at the financial aid package and realizing it was, $30,000 a year plus the cost of living in New York City, my parents were like, well, it's expensive. You can do whatever you want. But, I decided otherwise. Ended up going to Georgia Tech. And the funny thing is that I sort of fell into events there. I started planning events for the Residence Hall Association at Georgia Tech, and then also started then planning even bigger ones, concerts, poker nights, casino nights, all sorts of like team building activities, things like that for campus. And that's when I realized I obviously have gone to the wrong school for Georgia Tech. While I'm, an engineer of events, you could say, Georgia Tech was really not quite the right fit for events, and started looking into where I wanted to be, and actually ended up transferring to the Cornell Hotel School in the middle of my sophomore year. So that's really when my events journey fully kind of took the right path and going down that way. And from there, I sort of started with internships in events. I also worked in a number of different programs through Cornell. There was something called Hotel Ezra Cornell, where there's actually, ironically, a design team that designs a student-run conference that they do every single year for alumni, which is actually really cool if you think about it.
Gives everyone a trial, right?
Yeah, it literally is like what I do on a daily basis, but for the students to kind of see and understand. And obviously it was much different when I was a student than what I handle now. But I ended up going a very strong design track when I was at Cornell, because they also had a lot of courses that taught us about hospitality design. So further in designing actual hotel spaces, public spaces, selecting furniture, fixtures, equipment, even designing back of house spaces. And so taking that, I, built that into my actual desire to move into events and sort of melded the two together. And post-college, actually, my first job was for a hospitality interior design firm, where really I was a CAD monkey, as they would say. I would use AutoCAD and pick up red lines, which was if you have like this door needs to be moved from 3 inches this way, and you've got this wall that needs to be turned perpendicular, I would go through and actually make those smaller edits in all of those AutoCAD files. And the company,
yeah,
I'm sorry.
No, it's the whole new world. I'm not familiar with that. Yeah,
it's crazy, but you learn so much about just drapery and finishes and fixtures and where do you hang a picture that's ideal, for the right eye level. So I picked up a lot of really interesting tidbits from there, but the company that I worked for went out of business after 7 months, and I was back to the job search again. And that's when I decided to dive right back into events. So the first company that really gave me the right opportunity was actually a full service catering and event design company in Atlanta called Legendary Events. And that's really where it all sort of took off and started to begin.
So how long were you in catering before you made the jump, so to say, or transition into decor?
So, while I was at Legendary, I think my boss, Tony, he saw me for exactly what I was looking for right from the get-go. I mean, I was pretty honest. I've always wanted to be an event designer. I didn't hide that. And it's funny because one of the event companies that I worked for as a part-time hourly sort of coordinator, I worked with them coordinating their catering events. And their design team was very small at the time, super, super small. And they liked me and they wanted to hire me, but they really felt like if I didn't go into design, I would not be happy. And I think that they had some insight with that. So they didn't hire me full-time. And of course, at the time, I was devastated and heartbroken. But Tony, when I went in to interview with him at Legendary Events, he saw that I was so passionate about design. And little did I know, he was concocting this merger with another event design company and floral company at the same time and brought me on board. So quite honestly, my catering experience at Legendary maybe only lasted about maybe 8 months, 12 months, something along that realm. Okay. But it was enough to get me into the world of off-premise events. And then as soon as he flipped that switch and added the decor division, I was right in. So he threw me right into the water.
Yeah, I feel like with a lot of vendors who I meet in the industry, they have previous experience connected to the wedding industry, but it might start with hospitality, food and beverage, maybe working at a hotel or something, and then kind of guiding you and landing you into this position. So it helps you appreciate other parts of your job, I'm sure. So like if you have a catering background, I would imagine when you were creating a floor plan with a bride or discussing the needs, you in the back of your head have more knowledge than like the average designer, just from seeing it from a catering side.
Oh, for sure. And it is interesting because while I went into design, I was an event manager in the beginning, sort of coordinating things. So it took a while before I moved into the sales side. And in that interim, I also dabbled in catering sales, and eventually actually ended up selling both design and catering, which was sort of like the unicorn, I guess you could say, of the industry, because everyone's like, how do you sell food and decor? How does that work?
Well, it's all connected. Mode is kind of similar. So Mode started as a DJ company. I have no, like, I used to like sing and choir in school, but like I'm not a DJ. And just organically, we started this whole weddings all Mode wedding planning division. So I'm kind of in a similar situation as you were, of like, I have knowledge of the DJ sales aspect and element, but my personal focus is on wedding planning. But there are moments and opportunities where you might have a client, like I'm sure you experience this all the time. They come in for catering, and then you're now able to say, oh, well, what do you want for your plates on your table? And like, oh, the vases can match this, and then the linens, and then it's kind of all
Absolutely.
connected. All the pieces.
Absolutely.
Yeah, all the pieces. So what is your specific role with your current company, Kehoe Designs?
Yeah.
And what does your job entail? Like, what is the process?
Sure. So I moved here to Chicago about 4 years ago to work with Kehoe. And Kehoe is really, I would consider, one of the nation's premier full service event design and production companies. I had been like sort of just geeking and eyeing them on Instagram and Facebook for years. And finally, when I took that leap of faith to move, I decided to come to Kehoe and move from Atlanta to Chicago. So, my role there, I'm a senior event producer. And in the hierarchy of things at Kehoe, what that means is that I am sort of the client-facing person. So I meet with the clients, I meet with the guests, the bride and the groom, and talk to them about their vision. And oftentimes I explain to people, you can call me a producer, you can call me account executive, you can call me a sales manager, or whatever you want to call me. But at the end of the day, really my job is to be a design translator. Is to take the vision that the bride and groom or the client or whoever it is that I'm talking to and understand their vision. Because you might say shabby chic, but I might call the same thing, boho chic. And there's so many definitions of things. So my job is to read between their lines to understand it and then take that definition back to my team and translate that to 20 feet of pipe and drape here in this tone. This particular votive on this table, but we need 10 of them. So it's understanding exactly what it is and then breaking it down into little bits and pieces so that the production team can actually understand what it is that we're trying to create at the end of the day.
Yeah. And if I could even build upon that. So as a wedding planner, I have couples. I almost think that the way I view you personally, you as Kehoe, you as an event designer, as the planner, and every planner is different. Some are very involved with the decor process. Some planners actually have, like, they do floral, like, with their hands. Like, that's not me. But me personally, like, I feel like I'm almost a intermediate in between the couple and you. So, like, almost trying to help filter the process along of, like, I'll speak to the couple, same thing. They'll say, I want Boho Chic. And I say, okay, well, let's get some images, put it together. But as a planner, I come to you guys to even, like, not even translate, but to also heighten. And I tell my clients, anytime I bring them to Kehoe, I just say, they're going to take your idea and just make something that you or me have not even thought of. So yes, you're translating, but I think even more so than that, you're like expanding, building, creating, just giving more possibilities. Even though I've seen a ton of events, I want to connect my clients to you guys because you really focus solely on everything visual. Would you agree? Like, can you tell us more about, what Kehoe can provide and offer?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I meet somebody and I tell them, oh, I'm an event designer, they're like, what does that even mean? Like a wedding planner, like J-Lo? And I'm like, not really, that's you. So I usually just tell them to think about what a movie set designer does for movies. And that's really what we do for events. And it sort of clicks for them because it really truly is about providing a fully immersive environmental change and experience. It's not just about flowers on the table, changing the linen. You know, yes, there might be like an arbor or some sort of ceremony arch. It truly is about creating a feeling when you walk into a room based upon the elements that have been selected and chosen. And that does require all of these different pieces. So then it means that, yes, we do have drapery. Yes, we do have extra plants that we actually house in a greenhouse with 25,000 square feet that we bring in to enhance spaces. We have furniture that we do build and also stain and reupholster and recreate. We also have lighting that we may create amazing patterns with and also setting the right tone. So it's pretty amazing what the team can do in addition to the floral component, because we've literally taken this idea of building an environment way beyond that. And it truly is production. So it is like a movie set. You know, it's all like temporary. You set it all up. Sometimes it takes 12 hours to set up something that's only going to last 2. It's crazy.
So worth it though. Yeah. We're showing a part of your website focusing on your work. So you specifically do corporate as well. I did want to speak with you though, because, well, one, I know you fairly well and I'm comfortable speaking with you, but you know, I've worked with several designers from your team and you're all so talented. You know, I think this is, corporate, but it can look bridal too. But
definitely. And I think that that's the big thing is that, you know, the couples that I work with tend to be couples that are looking for something different. They're looking for a unique experience for their guests. Not to say that you can't have a beautiful blush and neutral or farm style event and it not be stunning and unique. But what I really specialize in is really capturing those personalities that are very unique and very different. And sometimes it is bringing something to the table that is unexpected that actually becomes one of the most memorable components of it. So I think that that's sort of where my corporate experience comes into play, is that I'm able to see another angle of events and not just kind of pigeonholing myself in sort of the cookie cutter idea of what a wedding may be, and also helping them really burst beyond those walls and really create something that is really very, very special and different.
Yeah. I kind of think of events, private events, specifically weddings. It reminds me of a film, like a movie. Like you said movie set, it triggered something in me, in my brain. I went to school for video production, actually, for filmmaking, which I'm not doing now. But what I really
virtual things, right?
It is kind of full circle, and we'll definitely talk about that next, of like pivoting and all of that. But when you said movie set, it triggered something in my brain of like, the great thing about films is similar to events where you have so many elements coming together, but they have to be working well together. So like the sound, the lighting, the set. So you said furniture, linens, tabletop items, floral, then the food and the aromas and everything, when it's working together, is very memorable and special. So that was a really good analogy that you had.
Yeah, and just a note to some of the people who are tuning in, one of the things that I discovered when I was in school and wanted to go down this path, there's not a lot of courses, I'm just going to be very honest with you, that help you or guide you into like, I want to be a event designer. A lot of people go the floral route, which is fine. But one of the tricks that I actually learned was taking courses in theater. So actually taking set design, even costume design, prop carpentry, and also with theater lighting. Those are all elements that help you sort of come back in and understand exactly what event design is about. So, yeah.
Got a shout out for you.
Thanks. Appreciate
Um,
it. Thanks so much.
oh, yeah. No, yeah, it is an interesting correlation. It's funny that you say that because our lighting designer has a theater background. It makes sense. It's kind of like my background's food and beverage. Again, it's kind of all connected. It's really cool to see how in life as a human you just go from one point to the other, and then I'll have moments of full circle moments of like, oh, this thing that happened 10 years ago is coming into play now, and it's kind of cool to have those connecting dots, you know. But in turn, we're starting to talk about pivoting, and especially due to COVID, a lot of companies have shifted how they're doing things. The wedding industry in Chicago currently is at you can have gatherings of 50 people. So I'm curious to see, like for us, we started having clients reach out to us as soon as we went into lockdown in like mid-March, and they started pushing their events. And then it was almost like for us, it was a big chunk of people that pushed, and then we had some people that were holding on. And then now, and we've since pushed those, and now we're dealing with making smaller gatherings and stuff. So I'm curious to see on your end of things how things transpired over the past few months.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we all experienced a very similar timeline as what you talked about, sort of that first delay or push, and then sort of the second wave. And quite honestly, now we're starting to see, you know, the leanings of a possible third wave of push. It has been very unfortunate for our industry, but I also see things in a very positive light as well. I think that what this has actually allowed, because there are what we're calling obviously the micro weddings, which are the smaller events that for those who still want to get married this year, those who maybe have a parent or a family member who's ill and they want to make sure that they're a part of this very important moment in life. Or, you know, we also have people that are just, you know, for insurance purposes, you know, they're like, we just got to get married so I can get on your insurance. Or, you know, even with the visas, that's a big part of it, you know, with all the crazy things that are happening. But I do think that what's been wonderful about it is that it really creates this intimacy for these gatherings. And, you know, people struggle. The number one struggle that everyone has, and I know this, and I'm sure you know this, is that cutting down that guest list is always impossible. It seems like one of the biggest like political struggles between parents and, you know, the two sides of the parents, and this person needs to come, and that list just grows. It has almost created this very this simplicity where people just are able to say, nope, can't come, and people understand. And I think it's going to be easier for people to now say to someone, I'm sorry, you know, this is just what we have to honor because the legal laws of gathering are what they are. But we've been creating really beautiful gatherings for these smaller weddings, because what's so interesting is that their budgets might still be the same, but they might only be feeding, or, you know, 30 people might be eating or 30 people might be drinking. They might have excess money for decor, which is actually awesome. So
selfishly, yes, that's what
selfishly, yes. But quite honestly, it almost, if you think about it, when you reduce your guest count, it allows you that excess budget to be freed up to really create almost like that wedding of your dreams visually. So if you're, you know, you love the idea of a canopy over your table with crystal chandeliers, you know, you only have to do that for one table now, maybe two. So instead of doing that for everybody and making people feel like that they're at like the slided table or whatever, you now have this opportunity to really create this moment that is just really out of this world.
Yeah, Well, I totally agree with the sentiment of it being intimate and more special. And we've talked about this on other episodes of Wedding Wednesdays, of having the ability for couples to talk to everyone at the wedding if it's only 50 people, whereas if it's 500, it's trickier to do that.
Yeah.
But like from a decor element, I just want couples to be able to have more budget to work with, so they can do more elaborate things. Not even elaborate, just customized. special. I love flowers personally. Not everyone does, but you know, if it means like less people means less food, then you can get more flowers. You know, I'm all about that.
Yeah.
You know, just it makes the pictures better too. So when people look back at their wedding day, it's that more special. So
Yeah.
are there any
experience?
Yeah, I know that the trend obviously is smaller gatherings, but from a decor floral perspective, I know that we blush was like such a common thing, but is anything standing out to you in terms of trends that are happening right now?
Yeah, I think, the biggest thing right now is that there is absolutely a boho chic trend movement. So we've evolved away from the farm or the more kind of rustic look. It's now becoming much more tailored, a lot more European, and a lot more couture. So we are seeing a huge move in that direction. There is still this sense of sort of asymmetry or naturalness that people love, but I would say it's almost sort of like an anthropology meets a Vogue that sort of collides together, where there's an elevated sense of that casualness. It's almost like casual luxury in a sense, which I think when you look at the way that even our fashion has been moving, there's athleisure and there's a way to make I guess luxury casual and luxury comfortable. And that's sort of the direction that I'm seeing as it bleeds into weddings. Pampas grass obviously has been huge. And I think that that's certainly, huge.
I'm a follower.
Yeah, pampas grass. But I will also tell you guys, for those who are not familiar with pampas grass, it makes a mess. An absolute mess everywhere. It sheds. If you've got people with allergies, just a note to make. You might get just as many cool elements and things with very cool dyed feathers, actually similar feelings or similar looks. But I'm also seeing a lot more, I don't want to say faux, but a lot of dried. So dried elements are actually coming into play, especially into bouquets and also in decor with floral arrangements. You'll actually see a lot of these faux pieces can be sort of dyed or painted. And so you'll see like amazing lotus pods in like a chartreuse green or like a sky blue. I just think that there's a lot of opportunity there to sort of have this juxtaposition of something that is recognized as a natural element, but then is sort of combined and collided with this amazing pop of color. So that's kind of what I'm seeing in terms of really cool things that are coming up in trends.
I feel like you could even mix metals with that to make it more modern, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I sort of feel like the big thing now is there is no standard. You don't have to have white. You don't have to even wear a white dress if you don't want. It is really opening up the opportunity for the couples to embrace who they are as their personalities and say, hey, let's take that idea and let's make it even bigger. I mean, I actually had a couple, believe it or not, who the bride was the daughter of her father owned a major pizza chain. So, they love pizza, obviously, and pizza was going to be a part of that evening. But they also said that one of the big things that they connected on was gummy bears. So what do they want to do? Lining down their aisle was actually gigantic, inflatable, illuminated gummy bears. So, it was their wedding. It was their day. Why not, right?
Yeah, it's funny. We just showed that picture of the hand chair. So it's like you can really make anything your own. And I think, not to go back to COVID, because I don't want to only talk about that, just personally. But no, like denial. But it kind of does. You said people are throwing things out the window in terms of tradition. So like, it's true. It's like, even more so. I think we were already in that direction of people weren't necessarily doing cake cuttings if they didn't want to, if they don't like cake, and all types of things like that. But now, so more than ever, it's like, oh, we're going to have a wedding of just 15 people, and if anyone has a problem with it, you can blame it on COVID. Sorry.
Exactly. But I mean, I would also say one of the really fun things that we are doing, so we also have obviously the technical production side. So we are streaming virtual weddings. We built a virtual sort of ceremony studio that couples and their families and small gatherings can come and actually host their ceremony in the space. And I'm sorry, say that again?
Is this at the Garrity?
Yes.
Your venue, your event space? It's a really, if you guys watching have not been to the Garrity, it's very cool. So are you permitted to do site visits now at this time, or are you holding up?
Absolutely. Yes. Okay. Well, with masks.
Right.
With masks, physically distanced, smaller groups of 10 or less generally. But yeah, we're able to host virtual weddings there in the space and also assist with the streaming of it. But in addition to that, for those people who still want to invite guests to log in and be a part of that day, even though they're not able to participate, we've also created these amazing events to go boxes, as we're calling them, and they're customized to go with, we can design it so that your wedding date, your graphics are all on the front of those boxes, and you're able to then include really great things that make those guests still feel special. Because I think that the biggest complaint of the guests is like, well, we didn't get the booze and the food and the party and,
Yeah.
So you can actually send snacks, you can send a bottle of champagne, maybe a nice toasting flutes, maybe some nice candles, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Is this in addition to an invitation? So an enhanced invitation? Or is this for people who have RSVP'd yes?
I think it's for people who have RSVP'd yes, quite honestly, so that you can actually then send everyone who has RSVP'd yes a kit, and they've logged on, and you can even have everyone, hold up your glasses, let's do a toast. And we've even created a really fun activity that you can engage your guests with. For instance, they're not able to all sign a guest book now, or a guest book wall, whatever that is. So you can actually maybe put in a postcard, that's pre-addressed and stamped, and then all your guests can sign that and send it back. And that can be part of a memento, that you include for later on. So I think there's still a lot of great ways to create that engagement, even though we are where we are right now. And then you're right, a lot of people are then kind of delaying that big reception party, whatever it is, for maybe, we made it after a year or 5 years, they'll throw the big celebration then.
Yeah. I'm curious to see what next year will look like, just like everyone else. No matter what you do for work, I think everyone's curious about next year. But I, again, selfishly want the trend to continue for smaller weddings. So just to have a bigger budget to do what you want, instead of having to feed 500 guests, you can put that money towards something more interactive. Not knocking food. Food's amazing. I love food. Oh, which, by the way, another plug for you. So, you're an amazing cook. So I don't know if I can promote you yet. Are you at that point where I can?
Sure. I'm always about it.
I like you so much, obviously. Also, I just noticed, total side note, but I'm matching my shirt and my earrings with my beverage.
Oh my gosh. So cute.
Goal of mine someday for LaCroix to be a sponsor. Oh my God.
Well, so I'm called the Panda. People call me Panda. And I also love pineapples because, hospitality. So Panda and pineapples, and there's a shark that snuck in. So
did you have that made, or did you just happen to find that?
No, someone bought this for me. Isn't that funny?
It's cute. You're the host with the mostest, so I never know. Yeah, whenever I go to one of your gatherings or celebrations, I bring wine because it's easy. But you're like, oh, don't worry, I made these custom earrings from a drape thing. I'm like, here's a bottle of wine. I'm not. Again, another example of why I bring my couples to you. I'm like, please make this, even better. So.
No, I think for me, and whether that's at Kehoe or just even in my personal life, I'm really an advocate of just maximizing the resources that you have. And so that's really one of the big things, even, with Kehoe. Not everyone has this 5 or 6 figure budget, for decor. We know that that's a true reality. But I always like to know exactly, where are you planning to host your event? And we have so much knowledge about the different venues. We could say, you know what, the chairs there are actually, they're pretty good. Don't spend your money on chairs, totally use those. And we can also morph, your design and morph the vision to fit and maximize what those elements are. And that's why, even for me, when I do my cooking, it's like, oh, what do I have in my fridge? Okay, let's make this because I have that in my fridge. And I can mix these like 10 things together and voila, you have a meal.
Create something totally unique and amazing that you may not have just thought of before. Yeah. You had touched upon not everybody has like 6-figure budgets for decor and whatnot. So like as a wedding planner, I always try to guide couples as best I can on how to break down their budget. So they usually present a number to me and say, this is our goal overall budget. From there, I try to allocate appropriately just to have guidelines, because it's easy to get carried away. It's easy to book a $15,000 photographer and spend $1 million on flowers and to want to do that. Some vendors, I recommend a percentage. Some I recommend like a price range. If a couple contacts you guys at Kehoe and my question's 2 parts. One, what does that process look like? And also when it does come to money, how is that discussed in terms of budget?
Sure. So when couples come to us, we love to really understand what their vision is and sort of see really what the scope is that they're looking for us to provide. So, and there are people that sometimes will reach out to us and say, this is my budget, but I want my Auntie Sue to provide the flowers. Well, unfortunately, that's not really quite the realm that we work in as much. So we do like to have full control of all the decor and all the floral, because the way that we started actually as a company was as a floral company. And so there's a lot of kind of conflict of interest for us if we're mixing our decor elements with the floral. It just kind of gets a little confusing. But when people do come to us, we love to understand their vision. We like to understand the story of what they're trying to build in the room, and then kind of understand and break that down. Like I mentioned, is it X amount of pipe and drape? Is it how many centerpieces? What are the numbers that you actually need? What are the size tables? And we kind of help build a range for them. We sort of look at realistically where they may fall, and maybe at the beginning we don't hone into those specifics of the decor super detailed until we know it's definitely going to be the right fit in terms of budget and the scope. And so it'll start with a consultation and maybe just like a query, questionnaire for you to fill out so that we can take a look at the basic things and also sharing some inspiration photos with us. Once they determine that they think, yes, we can get all the elements that we need sort of into this budget, is sort of where we then start digging and honing in really into the specifics of, is it this chair? Is it this linen? Is it, anemones that you would like during this season, or a certain type of orchid that you would like? So we then kind of dig into the nitty gritty a little bit more in detail once we have a better understanding of what you're actually looking for.
Yeah, I always that sounds bad. But I advise couples and give them a heads up whenever I bring them to a designer like yourself or a florist. Pretty much any vendor, I say, when a vendor presents a proposal to you, it is highly possible it's going to be over the budget that you said. Like, hey, florist, I want to spend $10,000 on flowers. 99% of the time, a proposal will be provided and it'll be, let's say, like 20,000 or something. However, it has everything that we could think of, not everything you could think of, because that's endless and infinite. But during the complimentary consultation, the florist or the designer is providing a quote based off of everything was discussed during the meeting. And it's just to put those thoughts on paper. I always explain, like, it's not to price gouge you. It's not saying that it's not saying they won't work with you. It's just saying, like, if we provide everything that you wanted us to provide, this is what that looks like. And then from there, you can kind of massage the budget, is how we say it, of like, okay, maybe we don't have to have this grand arrangement at every single table. And like you said earlier with the chairs, maybe we want more flowers. Maybe for this couple, flowers are more important than the chairs, things like that. So I always tell people it's a conversation. It's a starting point. I always hate it when I hear of couples just being turned off by a vendor because of a high quote and proposal. I always tell them, I'm like, it's not final. It's just like, it's a discussion,
Right. And I mean, I think you also bring up a really good point too, when you were talking about florists and then designers as well. So, for some people, they do see weddings as just floral, but in reality, what we do and what Kehoe does, and really all weddings have the capability of adding more than just floral. They also have that decor element. So there is this option of an upgraded bar, or maybe it is some sort of ceiling treatment with chandelier.
It's like the bar piece. It's not
right. Exactly. It's not just like a floral arrangement on the bar, but like the actual bar. Yeah, I mean, there's so much that we can provide. And I think that that's also a really good distinguishment to understand, is that sometimes that budget that you're thinking in your mind for floral might be just the floral piece. And then you might have sort of grouped your bar or specialty tables. That's like another huge trend now, to go away from the linens, to go with linenless tables. Something like that could be lumped under rentals. So it's also kind of figuring out what part of that budget really can fall under our scope. Lighting can fall underneath there, sound can fall underneath there too, or it could fall underneath your team with the DJ and the wedding planning components too. So it's also kind of figuring out where those division lines are too.
Yeah, and you had a good point of like working together. It just reminded me of working together with vendors. So with Mode, I'm nerding out, but we have amazing uplights, right? Like, I love our uplights. We can program any color. I'm sure you guys have the very similar thing. But there comes a certain point with our inventory, I will sell our uplights all day. I will say you should have 100 uplights, and we can do some like patterns too, but then your team you're just a bigger company. I mean, bottom line, and I think it's cool for vendors to work well together and see like, what can we bring in? What can this vendor bring in? How can we work together to make sure that everything's cohesive and it looks good and feels good,
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because I think you guys I mentioned the Garrity. So here, I always forget how to spell it. G-E-A-R Garrity. I almost want to like
E-R-A-G-H-T-Y. Yes, the Garrity.
Here, I'm going to type this.
The Garrity, yeah.
I mean, if you go there, guys, it's in Chicago.
It is huge. It is huge, yes.
It's great. Someday we will get to a place where we can fill it. I imagine in the meantime, you can section it off to make it more intimate.
Absolutely. So what's amazing about the Garrity, to give you guys a little bit of background about it, we host up to about 800 seated, and that includes a segmented area for a cocktail reception. And then for cocktail reception or reception style events, we generally recommend somewhere in about the 1,000 to 1,200 range, because we know that there's also a need for a lot of other components like lounges, food stations, things like that. But we've got an amazing built-in stage, our proscenium for a stage there. It's pretty spectacular. There's a lot of ways to separate it. And honestly, a big venue like that is going to be great once bigger gatherings start coming back, because there's enough space to sort of socially distance.
Yeah. Here. I'm about to put this up on the screen here. Let's see if I spelled this right. I had to Google this because I mess up every time. Garrity.
Yeah. Yes. And fun fact, So the Garrity name was actually named after Tom Kehoe, who is the owner of Kehoe Designs, his mother's maiden last name. So he obviously took his father's name to create Kehoe Designs, obviously. And then so he wanted to pay tribute to his mother and named the event space the Garrity.
No man left behind, or woman.
Exactly. Well, you always got to honor your mama.
Oh, I like that.
It's so important.
I need to like do it. Cheers to moms and pink.
Oh, absolutely. I think my mom is on too. Hi, Mom.
Yeah, and if you're joining in late to this broadcast for any reason, the full episode will be on our YouTube channel. We'll also put it on everywhere: Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. So, well, cool. We do have a few more minutes, which is awesome. Thank you again, by the way. I'm probably going to thank you 5 more times for being on this show. And this is a newer show, so I would love to have you on again. And, you know, could you imagine a year from now reflecting back on where I'm excited. I'm excited for the future.
Definitely. No, and I think, you know, the future, I've been in good spirits. You know, I think that this whole challenge has allowed us to look at events very differently. And I'm excited because really for the future of weddings, for those people who maybe just aren't able to travel to your event for the future, even if it is a big gathering, you can still stream it live now. That's like an option that no one ever, for some reason, thought about before, right? And then you can still send them an amazing kit, which is just awesome. You know, so it just makes people feel a lot more special, like they were recognized as a guest that we missed physically there. And I think that it's an important component, especially when your guests are sending gifts to celebrate and to honor, you know, this amazing wedding. It's just nice to kind of thank them back and kind of treat them too.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of if I was to get married like this weekend, what my boyfriend's probably like, what? But no. Like, I'm wondering what I would put in this little box, like bubbly. Are you allowed to do alcohol or no?
So it depends on where it's going, but definitely. And we can also do floral too. So that's the amazing part, is that you can also send a Kehoe floral arrangement. Believe it or not, we did we actually partnered with a number of different galas, our nonprofits around Chicago, and have done kits just like this, where we've partnered with a local caterer. They sent an actual meal, you know, to certain people's homes with the floral, with the wine, with the kit. It's just great.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I'm thinking what I would put in this box. Bubbly, that's it. There you go. Just give me a bottle of champagne. Confetti. That could be fun.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun things. We've done the confetti poppers. You know, you can do that. We've also can send like a little fringe banner behind you. So you can also create your own little decor, some of the paper, sort of the wheels or the paper flowers and things. So there's a lot of great things, and even like a little placemat for each of the guests, and they can have their little meal. There's a lot of fun things.
Aw, you're making me miss weddings.
But virtual ones are so fun too. They can be really fun. They really can.
They are. When is your first in-person event? You personally, like, what does that look like?
Believe it or not, we've been doing in-person micro events and weddings. I mean, all throughout this time. It's been great, actually. We've got quite a number of micro events on the calendar. My next one actually is a 70th birthday party next weekend. So I'm pretty excited about that. That
was cute. But I don't know the what in me. I don't know the right word, but I'm like, since they're over 70, oh my God, like stay far, far away from each other. I'm such a, I don't know, but good, but have fun, be safe.
Well, and to be honest, you know, most of these events, even the micro weddings or these smaller events, they're under 30 people or under, and they're all outside. So, you know, they're definitely taking precautions. They're making sure that people are wearing their masks and also taking temperatures when people arrive. So there's a lot of that as well. And I don't know if you guys have seen this, and you know, at a lot of the weddings, they can add sort of the bracelet. So you can add like a red, a green, or a yellow bracelet, and the red is like stay far away.
Yeah.
You know, at least 6 feet. The yellow is like I'm okay with talking with you as long as you have a mask, and green is like hugs, high fives,
Make
kisses.
out. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. But there's also like the wristbands or bracelets you can also add, so there's not that awkward conversation amongst guests as well.
Yeah, I have not seen it executed yet. We've had that conversation as an option and something to think about. I've yet to see it in action. Also, another plug. I feel like it seems like I have all these sponsors of the show, but no, not yet. But Walgreens, if anyone needs to get tested, has quick testing, because our team has to get tested obviously with a negative test result before all of our events, just to make sure that we're doing the best we can to mitigate the situation. But if you go to Walgreens, I think it's like, don't quote me, like /COVID or something, but you can get results in like 1 to 3 hours. So I'm trying to save the world here.
That's pretty impressive. I guess that's the first time I heard that you can get them that quickly.
Yes. Yeah. We did have one of our staff in Indiana. They went and they were quoted 3 to 5 days. So it depends on like where you're at. I think there was like a backlog of testing, but if you go to the Walgreens website, that's the fastest that I've seen. So unrelated to you and Kehoe and me, but like random tangent.
Well, no, I mean, it is important. And, you know, at the end of the day, the more that we're able to kind of contain everything, the more that we'll be able to get back to live events sooner than later, for sure. Yeah. So
DJ, I see in this feed, DJ Christmas, he says, I'll take the red bracelet, please. I think that's his sense always, not to make him sound like a Grinch, but yeah, it's like, can we just continue that on in life? Like, don't talk to me, like a bitch bracelet. I don't know if I can curse on Twitch. We'll see if I get edited, but yeah.
Interesting. Well, I have seen also the name tags. So for like more of a corporate function, I have seen like the name tag that's like been bordered in red, yellow, or green. I have actually done it, and I think it works because it does sort of avoid that awkward conversation of like, can we elbow or should we shake hand? Or, you know, so you just kind of read the name tag color and you're in. So
yeah, it is. It's still in that awkward phase. I found like I still have been in meetings. Like I did a few site visits for a couple, and the representative naturally like extended their hand out to meet me, and I was like, thanks. I didn't do that. It looked like I was doing that. I was like, nice to meet you.
Yeah.
And they were kind of like, oh, okay. You know, another says the NBA uses proximity bracelets that turn red when you get, ooh, that is creepy.
Wow.
Creepy, but cool.
Well, and I will also say there have been some really funny like decor things that have come out of this. I don't know if anyone saw like the inner tubes at a bar in Florida where everyone had like this 3-foot ring and you walked, it's like bumper tubes, kind of like walk around. And then you can't get close to each other. Or I think it was like Burger King had like these giant hats, the crowns, and like you would like hit each other if you.
See, this is why we come to you, because I've not seen that yet, and you're in the know. That's cool. It's hard to keep up with all these things. Oh my God.
Yeah.
You know,
but I mean, that's just more because it's funny and, you know, but it also does maintain distance. So I don't know, maybe it works. You have an inner tube table that you walk around with, you know, places set your drink too. It's like the walking highboy table.
Oh my gosh. I want to have a party someday outside safely with these inner tubes. That's a fun idea. It'd be good for like a pool party summer thing too.
You know? Exactly. Maybe you get like unicorn ones for everybody. I don't know. Could be fun.
We had an event one time we provided DJs for. It was a millennial event. And so they had unicorns everywhere, pineapples everywhere. Yeah.
My pineapple.
Yeah, I know. I was like, if I get a tattoo, it will actually be a pineapple because you've probably seen this on Pinterest, but it's like sweet on the inside, tough on the outside. and a queen, like a crown or something like that. I don't know.
I like that. I may have to steal that from you.
Do you have any tattoos? This is getting personal. But.
Ooh, I do. I actually have 2 tattoos. I won't show you one of them today because it might be at an inappropriate location. But I do have one on my derriere or above my derriere that says "Made in Taiwan," and it's copyright the year that I was born. And secret is I was made in Taiwan, but I was distributed in the USA. So.
Oh, that will be your next tattoo.
Exactly.
Next tattoo. I'm like, on that note, is this what we sign off?
The second tattoo, I actually have eyeliner tattooed on my eyes, but not the giant wing dramatic situation. I just have like basic. So just in case.
You have to get that touched up ever, like throughout life, or no?
You know, my mom's is still there, and she's had it for like, I feel like 40 years. So maybe eventually.
Yeah. That's like
not
yet. Oh, now it's something to know. Inside info. Well,
right.
I obviously I want to talk more, so we'll schedule a time down the road to do this again. Thank you very much for your insight and your knowledge, and
thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, we'll hopefully talk to you soon.
Absolutely. No, thanks for having me.
Bye. Aw. I want to keep talking, and I probably will keep talking. So that's all the time we have for today. Join us next week, same time, same place. What is next week? Oh my gosh, we're actually going to be having people from our team. I can't believe it's already going to be the 23rd of September next week. So we'll be having people from our team from both Vegas, our Vegas office, as well as our Chicago office, and we're going to talk more about music, entertainment, DJs for your wedding. So tune in next week. We can't wait to see you, and have a great night. Thank you so much, guys. Bye.